Sports fans of Lincoln and Logan County, you're in the cheap seats here on 96.3 and WLCNonline.com. We are out at the Beck's Travel Plaza, one of the new service stations here in Lincoln, and just right across from the beautiful Hampton Inn. Today, Josh Komnick, along with the furniture guy, of course, Jake Johnston, and head baseball coach for your Lincoln Railers, Coach Pat Hake, is in attendance here real quickly this morning. He's got a doubleheader today at 11 a.m. out at Mike Curry Field, so you get a chance to get away. It's a little bit of a gloomy day, but still better than normal, better than some of the days you've had so far, Coach.
2 years ago was the worst spring I've ever seen, and we froze pretty much the whole season, so today is fine. This is lovely.
Yeah, no wind.
Yeah.
A little bit of moisture, but that's okay. As long as the wind's not blowing, it's not terribly cold. The guys can get their muscles going, and a coach like yourself could even get a little jog in out to the third baseline.
If somebody puts a donut out there, I'll go get one, but otherwise probably not.
Coach, thanks for coming on this morning, and I know you got some assistant coaches taking care of some of the duties that you do, but we wanted to get you on here before the season really got into effect. 6-5 to start off the season, but Coach, you've got some new things out at Mike Curry Field that we want to talk about. You've got a new big scoreboard that you got put in, and you talked about earlier that it's going to be actually working here in the next week or so. But tell our listeners, how you got it, where you got it, and who you may want to thank for that.
Okay. Well, last year we played a triangular type game with Pontiac and U-High up at Illinois State Redbird Field, and there was some rain, and the game time got changed, and nobody informed us. So we showed up several hours early, just us and the grounds crewmen. And the kids were running around the yard. They were playing baseball, golf, and the coaches were just kind of hanging out, waiting for the teams to show up. And we noticed that the scoreboard, the old one, was laying out in the grass, and you could tell they were putting a new one up. And being the person I am, I'm like, I'm calling and asking about that. So on Monday we called, and Sam Knox asked them if they were going to do anything with that scoreboard, and they said the Pony Association has been offered it. If they didn't want it, they would give it to us since we asked next. Mm-hmm. And they didn't want it. So all we had to do was go get it. And Neil Rohr Farms out here at the edge of town, they had the big equipment for us to go up, and we put it on there with some help from some friends, Ryan Williams and Neil, and using Jim's equipment, and we went up there and strapped it down and brought it back down to Lincoln. It was quite a show coming down the highway, but we made it safe. And then in the fall, the kids, the baseball players, and I, and a couple coaches went out. We painted it up, dressed it up nice, got the signs redone by KC Ultra Graphics, and it's been sitting there. And then we put it up last fall before it got too cold, and we've been waiting on the electricity. And supposedly next Friday, it's going to be finalized. Most of it has been done. Mark Schoonover and a gentleman named Mike that works out the prison has been helping us a little bit on his own, and they're doing all this for nothing. And the Roars asked for nothing, and a lot of free help from people in our community. So that was very thankful for that, and obviously we're thankful that Illinois State wanted to give that scoreboard away and not charge us. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So it looks good. I'd like to see some light bulbs glowing pretty soon, though.
Well, sure, and like you say, that can add anything to your field. When you've got a college-sized scoreboard, not a lot of schools that play on their school facilities have that type of a scoreboard, and definitely a great addition out there at the high school. So you want to check that out, run out today, 11 a.m. You're going to take on Collinsville?
Yes, first time we've played them. Have not played them before.
Collinsville doubleheader today at Lincoln here at Mike Curry Field, and just saw one of the coaches run by here. It looks like they're in town and ready to go. So I'm sure we've got some guys out on the field working on that. But, Coach, getting into the season last year you made a run, an unexpected maybe run, not to yourself, but maybe to some of the people that especially are playing in your regional, and made it in and kind of was a dark horse in the regional and came out with a regional championship. Looking at this year's team, Coach, do you have that makeup, or can you be maybe not the dark horse going into this regional coming up this year? Can you be one of the favorites, one of the top four, one of the top two?
2 years ago, we were way under 500, and we made a run and even got to the sectional championship game. Definitely unexpected, and the kids came together. Everything gelled at the right time. Last year, similar. We did get some help from a Springfield team knocking off Sacred Heart Griffin in the first game last year. But we had to play good baseball. Springfield was playing very good baseball. They were not the same team that we had beaten twice earlier in the year. So things kind of worked out, but we were playing good baseball. This year, our regional is us, Champaign Central, MacArthur, and Eisenhower, and we've beaten all 3 teams pretty handily. So we should be the team to beat. We should be the 1 seed, but you know how this goes. Sure. On paper, that doesn't mean anything. We hope to just be playing good baseball at that time of the year, and things work out.
Sitting with the all-time winningest coach at LCHS, head coach Pat Hake. 10 years, Coach, you've been here. I know you came in, I believe, in my brother's sophomore year, which would have been, 93?
No, 2001.
Oh, 2001. That's right. Heck, how did that happen? I graduated in 98.
I don't know, Josh.
Yeah. I'm bad math this morning. But has it seemed like it's been that long?
When I sit and reflect back, and it seems like just yesterday. It doesn't seem very long to me, but then as you start looking at, wow, I have been here, and you see kids around the community that are men and having families, and you're like, okay, that kind of hits home a little bit when you see those things happening out there.
Coach, 191 before this season, 191 and 170. Now, I guess 197 and 175 as you're 6-5 on the season. I believe your best record was in 2005. You're 26 and 12. 4 regional championships since you've been here?
Yes.
4 regional championships. Coach, coming into this season with this team 6-5 right now, are you at where you kind of expected to be?
I like where we're sitting. I think that we've lost a couple games. The Springfield series was a little bit tough to handle because one of the 2 games we did not play well. But every game, we've got 5 losses. 4 of the losses are by 1 run and 1 by 2 runs. I mean, we've been in every ball game. And only really, in my opinion, 1 game did we play just poorly. And even in that game, we lost 10-9. We still competed in that ball game, even shooting ourselves in the foot about every other ball hit. And we still competed. So I like where we're sitting. We shouldn't be overconfident. And it's all about getting on that roll the second half of the season. And I think that our kids, they're not full of themselves at 6-5, as opposed to we really could be 10-1, 9-2. We really could be.
Hey, Coach, you got a couple guys starting off. I know it's early in the year, but a couple guys looking to start off pretty strong with Montcalm and Aper on there. Give us a little information about those guys.
Ryan Aper's a senior. He broke several school records last year. He had 56 hits in the season. He had 10 wins on the mound. He kind of did a lot for us last year and pitched very well, in my opinion, last week. And before that, struggled a little bit, but he's been hitting, consistently again this year. He's actually had 7 hits in a row. He's 12 for his last 15. He's at the top of our line. He's doing a great job. Gets on base and makes things happen. And then Ryan Montcalm is a junior. He plays shortstop, and it's sad when you say Montcalm's hitting .564 and he's the second leading hitter on our team, and all Montcalm's done is he's 10 for his last 15. I mean, he's on fire also, but we're talking about Aper. That's how,
Right.
So these 2 young men are doing a great job at the top of our order, getting guys in, just having quality at bats consistently.
Yeah, Coach, you talk about that, what Aper's hitting, 622
yes.
so far this season. At-bats 37, 23 hits, 13 singles, 6 doubles, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs. Montcalm is 22 of 39, and he's got 13 singles, 7 doubles, and 1 home run, 17 RBIs. But, Coach, after that, at some point when you get into the season, you've got Griffin, you've got Chatham, you've got some of the upper teams in the Central State 8. Generally, I'm sure they are this year. They have been since I was there and still are. They're going to now start to see this. They know they've seen Aper last year. They've seen Montcalm. They're going to say, well, we got to find somebody else. Don't let these guys beat us. And now it becomes a job for Aper and Montcalm to. I see they haven't struck out once yet this year in 37 at bats and 39 at bats, 0 strikeouts, but only 2 base on balls. At some point, those teams are going to say, "Hey, we'll put you on and make somebody else beat us."
This is eerily similar to the basketball team. We're going to have to at some point have some guys come to the plate with those guys on base and get it done, because the other teams are going to make them do that or not. And we're working real hard in practice, and we've got other guys who are capable. I really think that some guys are really starting to come around. Statistically, they may not look that great right now, but I believe in what these guys are doing in their practice and their habits, and we're going to have those guys come to the plate when they start pitching around these guys.
Coach, talk about your general starters, the starters that you're going to throw out there against Chatham. Who kind of go from left field to right and from third to first, and who's usually behind the backstop, and maybe that guy that you'll have again on the mound for say, the first game of a Chatham doubleheader.
Well, let's start on the hill. Apers and Joey Burge are seniors, and they're 1-2, and honestly, it's 2-1, 1-2, doesn't matter. They both do a great job. So it all starts with those two in conference games. Other pitchers, Aaron Clem, he's pitched 10 innings. He has yet to give up an earned run.
We like that.
Yes, we do like that. And we got some sophomores and some young guys. Eric Hopp's done a nice job, and Tate Gordon pitched a very nice ball game last week. Brandon Miller showed some stuff last weekend. So our pitching staff has done a good job of throwing strikes, and those are guys on the mound. Left field, right now it has been a freshman. Tyler Horcham has been out there. We're moving him to right today to see what that's about. He's done a pretty good job. It's been a kind of a mix out there depending on who's pitching. You'll see Will Podbelsic out there, some a sophomore. Ryan Aper has been the center fielder when he's not pitching. When he is pitching, we've put Will Podbelsic. The other night we tried Horcham out there. He did a good job. Right field, again, a mix. Podbelsic. Could be Eric Hopp. Could be Horcham. Just, again, depending. And then Tate Gordon is mixed in out there as well. Third base has been Ross Arnaud. The other night he was sick, and Jake Olson filled in for him. He did a nice job. Shortstop has been Montcalm. Made tremendous strides defensively. Not that he was bad, because he did a great job at third base for us the last couple of years, but has really improved and turned himself into a good shortstop.
Montcalm senior?
Junior.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to be welcoming him back again one more year. That's nice. And then second base has been a mix of Jake Olson and Ryan Huffer, a senior, and both kids do a pretty good job of fielding. Jake, to this point, has hit a little better, but Ryan Huffer has done a great job with his glove when he's been in there. Today, he's going to get some at-bats. He's really looked good in practice the last couple days. First base has been a mix of men. We've got Aaron Clem. Today, Jade Leak will mix in over there. Austin Jones has been over there. So those, again, depending on how the pitching lays, who kind of plays over there. And then behind the plate, it started Jade Leak, and he's doing a good job back there. But Cody Highbreeder has really stepped forward, a sophomore, and done a real good job defensively. And his hitting is starting to come around. So there's several sophomores and the freshmen. We're not a veteran team. So as far as years to come, that's exciting. But we want these guys to gel this season.
Sure.
And get ready for the end of the season run.
It has to be done pretty quickly at 11 games already, coming up. And how many you got on the season? How many games total?
You can have 35 games. IHSA allows you to have 35 games before you enter postseason, and we will do all we can to
get them all in.
Oh, yeah.
Coach, we're going to take a real quick break. Hopefully you can stay with us for about another 10 minutes. We've got a few more things to go over before you've got to head out to Mike Curry Field for that doubleheader today at 11 a.m. out at Mike Curry Field against Collinsville. Stay on there. We have a K-Hawk right in front of us. The opponent today running in to grab a bite to eat for breakfast. But we'll get Coach back here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You'll be back on 96.3 and WLCNonline.com. You're back here on the cheap seats out at Beck's Travel Plaza, located next to the Hampton Inn in Lincoln. Stock up on Michelob Ultra 30 packs, priced at an incredible $18.49, along with Bud Light, and Miller Lite, priced right at $14.79 a case. And from 9 to 10 a.m., receive any size fountain drink for free. Beck's Travel Plaza, located at 1010 Heitman Drive here in Lincoln. Josh Komnick here with the furniture guy Jake Johnston and head baseball coach out at Lincoln, Mr. Pat Hake. Coach, back in before we got to let you go before you go take on Collinsville. How do you stack up in the Central State 8? Central State 8, very strong conference, has been for years since we've been in it. Of course, you've got Chatham, who's won state titles, who's in the state tournament, seems like every single year. Sacred Heart Griffin has really come on in the last 8 to 10 years, maybe even before that. They've always been strong in baseball. I guess, what did the experts pick us, and how do you think we look up?
Preseason, they picked us third, and Chatham voted for us. You can't vote for yourself, so Chatham voted us as who they would pick to win the conference. So got some high rankings at the beginning of the season. Before we started, we've stumbled a little bit. We talked about how close we are in these ball games, but early in the season, we have lost a few conference games that probably will put us out of it in the long run with teams like Sacred Heart and Chatham. Each one of those teams has not lost in conference. They have one loss apiece on the season. They're both very good. They're both very well coached. Chatham should make another run, but Sacred Heart is in the regional, and anything can happen because they are a good team. As far as the rest of the teams, the good example is how it's gone for us so far as we can get swept by a Springfield team that probably we're maybe a little more skilled than, but if you don't play good baseball in this conference, you get beat. And we've paid for our mistakes so far, and we've taken some losses from little things that have happened. Last year, a Southeast team was last in conference, and they came to our place and played a very clean ball game and just beat us. I tell coaches that it's like a regional atmosphere when you play a conference game here, because Southeast record might be 2-14, but they don't play 2-14 when they play a conference game, and it is a very competitive conference. I'm very pleased because I really think this helps our kids out so that when we get to the postseason, we are very seasoned.
Sure. Hey, Coach, during the break we were talking a little bit about stolen bases. This year you guys are at 53 on the year so far with only eight caught stealing. Can you comment a little bit on that?
Yeah, I've always been aggressive, and I tell our kids sometimes we're going to run and we're going to look really smart and aggressive, and people are going to like, wow, and then we're also going to have some moments where people are like, what an idiot that coach is. And I've had plenty of those. But I've listened to some guys talk this last winter in particular, and they talked about how they let their players have a green light, which means you can run when you think you get a good jump, when you think it's a good time to run on your own without the coach calling it. And we have really stressed base running this year. One of the reasons is the bats are going to change. The specs on these bats, the ball is not going to fly as well next year. So I've gone back to the drawing board and kind of worked really hard on what baseball kind of used to be. A lot of running, a lot of bunting, and things like that, and we've really stressed it, and the kids are buying into trying to grab that extra bag. And we came up with a chart on our wall, and we put it up after every game, and it's an aggression base running chart. And I keep track of not only our stolen bases, but, for example, pass ball the other night, Ryan Montcalm goes from first to third on it. He gets that extra bag that he's not supposed to get, and we keep track of those. And I think the kids are taking pride in that, and they're looking for anything that will get them that extra bag for us. And we're not the greatest hitting team, and I think this is something that helps us play the game the right way because they're paying attention, and the coach doesn't have to tell them to do everything. And I kind of like that style,
Yeah, I was hoping after you said the bats are not near as the ball's not bouncing off the bat near as well. I was hoping you'd say you weren't going to experiment like Manny has been experimenting. But thankfully you're working on bases and not things that go into your body.
Right.
Coach, talk a little bit about the baseball tournament you've got coming up here. Friday, April 22nd. Wow, what a lineup you've got. You talked about the competition in the Central State 8, but you're talking about Edwardsville, a perennial power in especially St. Louis area baseball, but the whole state of Illinois. Edwardsville. You're going to play Edwardsville Friday night, April 22nd at 4:30 at the varsity field. And then Saturday you've got Streeter. You've got Troy Triad in this tournament also, and that's going to be a nice tournament competition-wise for your guys also.
Well, Edwardsville is 5-2 as of the other day, and I know that Triad beat Chatham a couple nights ago, and they have not lost a ball game yet. And Streeter we played last year, and they came down and just whipped us like there was no tomorrow. These are three very good teams. I'm not afraid to take an 0-3 tournament if it gets us experience and helps us out in the long run. I want to compete against these teams, and I want to challenge these teams and see if we can beat them, and we have in the past. Those are teams that if we play a clean game, we can take a win from. But I think it's neat that our kids go against the best in the state. I think it's a good experience, and it helps us out.
Sure, Coach. Real quickly before we let you go, you've got a tough schedule coming up. What are some of the strengths and weaknesses, the strengths that you got to keep doing and the weaknesses that you need to improve on before you hit Chatham, before you hit Griffin, before you hit this Lincoln tournament with Edwardsville, Triad, and Streeter? Some of the things that you got to iron out before you hit those teams, plus ultimately the regional.
Aper and Burge continue to do what they do. Clem obviously has done a great job. The other guys, I tell them all the time, you may not be getting a lot of innings right now, but there will be that moment where your team needs you.
Right.
So they need to be ready. Those guys need to be ready to go at any time. Injuries happen. We need to continue to run the bases like we've been. Hitting, obviously, the two guys are hot. Jake Olson's done a nice job. These other guys need to continue to work in practice. We've talked a lot about 2 strikes. I don't think we've done a great job with our approach with 2 strikes, but I will say guys are getting better. Mm-hmm. Some guys have bought in, and it's starting to be seen in the games at this point. And we have got to just put our nose down and work hard every day of the practice of the game, because we are not just going to walk on the field and say, okay, we're here, you're going to lose. That's just not going to happen with this team.
Well, Coach, we better get you out to the field. You've got to do the line, chalk the lines, and
I already did that, Josh.
You were up early this morning, so got to hit the infield practice and all that kind of stuff to do what the head coach has done. But we've been sitting with the all-time winningest coach at LCHS. 10 years he's been here, 197 and 175. Head coach Pat Hake. Coach, thanks for coming in, and go get us a doubleheader sweep.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We're going to take a quick commercial break here from Beck's Travel Plaza. We'll be back with Jake and myself here to talk what happened this week in sports. Back here on the Saturday Sports Show, the cheap seats at Beck's Travel Plaza, located next to the Hampton Inn in Lincoln. Stock up on Michelob Ultra 30 packs, priced at an incredible $18.49, along with Bud Light, Miller Lite, priced right at $14.79 a case. And from 9 to 10 a.m., receive any size fountain drink for free. Beck's Travel Plaza, located at 1010 Heitman Drive. Josh Komnick, along with the furniture guy, Jake Johnston. And Jake, before we get into the stuff that happened this week and what's coming up, we want to get to that trivia question that we've got. Got a kind of a recent one. I'm going to give him a little hint already and tell him that this happened this year. And it happened this year. Who is the only player ever to hit leadoff home runs in his team's first 2 games of the season? So this guy hit one. He was a leadoff guy in the first game, and he hit a home run. The second game, he hit a leadoff home run again. It happened this year, so you don't have to go back too far. It just happened, about a week and a couple days ago. So give us
starting out on a good pace for that.
He's going to hit a lot of home runs.
A lot of home runs. That's almost a career for most guys.
Call us here at 737-3791. 737-3791. Who is the only player ever to hit leadoff home runs in his team's first 2 games of the season? If you got the correct answer, you've got a free Little Caesars hot and ready pizza coming your way. 737-3791. And before we get into, we had a trivia, or not a trivia, but a kind of a contest last week as far as the national championship game goes. And I want to thank everybody for emailing us at cheapseats11@hotmail.com. We had 11 emailers last week for this competition, and I know I put in you can't go over, but who would have expected this poor of a national championship game? Only 94 points scored. I'm going to give this young man the Hampton Inn stay anyways, just because everybody went over. Not one single person. That's right. Yeah, you can't have that. Andy Fitzpatrick was the contest winner. He chose UConn as the winner, 66-60. Like I said, I know I did say over, but it's our first contest. I want to give something away to this guy. Right. And who would have expected a 53-49 national championship? The worst game we've seen. I've seen. I had to turn it off in the second half. I only turned it back on because I wanted to see the final scores to see who won the contest. So, but we won't get into that. But Jake, let's hit the major league scores that happened last night. Cubs were winners 7-4 over Milwaukee. The Cardinals lost a heartbreaker 5-4 over the Giants. Tampa Bay, after all the debacle with Manny Ramirez deciding to retire after he's been caught for a second time with some enhancement drugging, they win 9-7, and Boston gets their first W. The team that I picked to win the World Series finally gets their first win of the season, 9-6 over the Yankees. Jake, let's get into your Cardinals real quick. It didn't cause the loss, but Albert didn't help it by dropping the ball first.
We've had a few games like that this year. So the Cardinals have had a few games like that this year where they're kicking the ball around and it's really shooting them in the foot. The home opener, as well as I think the Saturday game, they had a couple errors, and then of course Albert last night. On top of that, you've got our closer who isn't closing currently. That's not helping out any matters. He's right now. I believe that they're probably going to be making a change there at the end of their bullpen here pretty quick. Maybe switching Franklin to a setup role. Probably bringing Salas up to be our closer.
Well, if the furniture guy was the GM for the Cardinals, he would be making a change in that closer role for my Cubbies. I can't complain, I guess, so far. I've been rather happy, other than the first day when I saw Colvin was not in the lineup. But they've been playing pretty good baseball. They're playing hard. I like Castro and Barney up the middle. They play hard. They get on base.
They're putting the ball in play.
They're fast.
Too.
Exactly. They're not a strikeout team this year. Last year and the last couple of years, they've been it's been a solo home run or no scoring, and now they're getting on base. They've stolen a couple bases, and kind of the baseball that you know, for me personally, I like to see.
Yeah, well, yesterday I was watching. Soriano actually took a breaking ball down the way, and I don't think I've seen that for about 3 years from him. No, like you said, they're putting the ball in play, which makes it a lot more fun. Sure. You're getting guys active. You got some of these young guys, Baker, Castro. You know, they're really injecting some fun into that team and some excitement and enthusiasm. And the pitching staff right now, honestly,
shaky.
They're shaky, yeah. But it's still fun to watch because the offense is participating.
Well, and they have been, and they've been getting singles. I love Bird. He's a contact guy up the middle. He doesn't try to hit home runs. He's a good center fielder. He plays his tail off every game, and he's infectious. Yeah, and I think that Bird and Castro and Barney and Baker have rubbed off on some of these older guys. Ramirez is starting to come around a little bit. Pena's had a little wrist injury or a hand injury, so he hasn't been healthy yet. But the pitching is got to get better for the Cubs. Their bullpen is actually doing pretty good. I like Wood, and then I like Marmol. They've got a pretty if they can get there.
That new cutter that Woods picked up, man, he's pretty dominant right now. I'm not gonna lie. He took a little hometown discount to come back to Chicago, and boy, I tell you what, probably their best signing in the offseason.
Well, they should have never let him go a couple of years ago to begin with, and but
they want to learn this cutter though, and I don't think he'd be near as effective right now.
You could be right there. So off to a good start, but so are the Reds. The Brewers are starting to pick it up. The Pirates are playing good baseball. They win really two road series, one against the Cubs and again one against the Cardinals. Yeah, and really the Central has so far been pretty steady.
Yeah, again, before the season started, I said I think they're going to be a little better than what they had been last few years. They're not going to be the dogmat in baseball or doormat in baseball anymore. Some fun teams to watch, but like you said, Pittsburgh, they play pretty good defense, and man, they got some guys that can rake. Yeah. As long as their confidence stays a little bit, a little bit up, they're going to be good because they're so young. Though that eventually during a long baseball season, it'll catch up to you and things will start going the wrong direction.
Coach. I thought Coach Hake was still here.
Well, he's a little taller, to be honest.
Jake, give me a surprise, one surprise, two surprises that have gone on in Major League Baseball so far to you for the whole AL, NL, anything.
Well, Boston starting out 0-6, a little bit of surprise. And Texas going on a little run at the beginning there as well. The White Sox, though, have actually played a little better than what I thought they were right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. They've got a lot of guys that are notoriously slow starters, and they've really started out, and it looks like the Ozzie ball, mm-hmm. as they call it, is really started out like they were hoping this year, and they're playing some good ball.
Yeah, you're on the cheap seats. Josh Komnick and the furniture guy, Jake Johnston, 96.3 and WLCNonline.com. A surprise for me, for sure, is Baltimore. Buck Showalter, after taking a leave from Major League Baseball and really taking a reporting role or whatever you want to call it on ESPN, has brought these guys back, and he's got some young guys. I see Derek Lee's there now, Felix Piet. Heck, half the Cubs are there now.
Mark Reynolds still over.
Yeah, doing well, and they're off to a hot start. And I just think a lot of home runs have been hit so far, and I don't know, maybe it was just the first weekend that I really paid close attention to it, but it looked like the balls were just flying out of the parks. Texas, of course, they've got a monster lineup anyways, but they're hitting home runs like crazy, and then just bad defense. You talked about the Cardinals with Pujols last night and some other games you've given away. Yep. You've just seen seen a lot of bad defense in Major League Baseball, and it seems to have gone away. That defense, that pitching has gone away to where now it's pretty much all hitting.
That's exactly right. You focus on the long ball. Chicks dig the long ball.
That's right.
So they're focused on that. There is some teams with some good pitch now. I think the Phillies have came out of the gates pretty much as we expected. Their studs are pitching like they're supposed to. Their hitting actually isn't quite there yet with out Utley in the lineup there. So there's some good things that are going on around the league with teams like you said with Texas.
Right.
Oakland's hopefully going to get there one of these days, but with teams like Baltimore and Oakland's pitching staffs, man, they're young, they're fun to watch. They're kind of like a young Tampa Bay, just from a couple years ago. They've got homegrown talent. They built the pitching staff to win, and now they're complemented with some hitters.
Well, what's taking place is teams that you didn't think were going to be there are there now. Now, like you said, I think that will, in due time, probably evaporate, and the teams like Boston and the teams like the Yankees and the teams like the Cardinals,
the top,
will rise, come up, and be leading the division. So baseball off to a hot start. Real quick shout out for some area athletes around here. Jordan Nelson, he has signed a letter of intent to attend the University of Evansville, a team out of the Missouri Valley Conference. So it'll be nice for of course, the family of Jordan and also friends and anybody from Lincoln that would, want to attend. They all have to do is go to ISU or over to Peoria, where Bradley is playing, or you can take the, probably 5-hour trip down to Evansville. I hear they're building a brand new arena, so might be a nice thing to take a trip, but we want to give some shout out to him. Also, he was the Central State 8 Player of the Year this year, so giving some props out to Jordan, one of the best shooters that I've seen in high school basketball, and he's going to be taking his services to the Purple Aces.
He had over 600 points as a senior, is that right?
Yeah, something around there.
My good. I mean, he just had a fantastic career as a Lincoln Railer. It's good to see him moving on and taking that next step, moving on to college, playing Missouri Valley basketball.
Sure is. I know he had a few schools out for his services, and it looks like the Purple Aces are going to get it. They're going to get a good shooter down in Evansville. And also Nathaniel Smith is off and headed. I didn't actually talk to Nathaniel, but from what I've heard, he is going to attend Loris College. It's a Division III school in Dubuque, Iowa. I know they were after him for quite a while, talking with his father, and it seems like Nathaniel has chosen Loris as a good atmosphere. He liked the school. He really enjoyed the coach. A good academic school also, and a very good basketball player, very good high school player, really a guy that did everything on the court for Coach Neil Alexander for at least 3 years, and those are two guys that are going to be missed, and we're thankful we get to see their playing career stay on.
Yep, continue for a few more years. Yeah,
sure. Well, congratulations to those guys, and maybe we can get them on later on here during the summer as they get their workouts going and get pumping the iron to get ready for college basketball, because it will be a different style. Moving on to the Masters, that's going on. Probably the biggest topic right now going on, the Masters. Jake, is the Masters the biggest golf tournament there is? I mean, you hear so much about the Masters, or is it kind of like...
I think it depends on the year, honestly. This year, I believe the Masters will probably be the biggest. U.S. Open's always huge,
sure.
Of course, because it's in the United States. I like golf quite a bit, man. Then when...
Only when you're not playing.
It gets rough once in a while, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I hear you.
I can drive the ball, but after that, it's scary. You got the British Open. With the British Open, when it's at St. Andrews,
sure.
It's, of course, that's kind of the mecca of golf. So, it just depends on the year. This year, it looks like the Masters is probably the big one. Well,
really stealing the show at the Masters is the tale of the young guys. Rory McIlroy, -10. He's 21 years old, and Jason Day, he's 8 under with 23 years of age. So really some young guys. Phil Mickelson at -2. Tiger Woods has made a late charge, and a lot of people think that this charge is maybe what he needed to boost, maybe not to get back to what Tiger was before, but get back to a little bit under maybe of what he was riding before all of his,
golf is such a tough sport, and even for the best golfer in the game.
Sure.
Consistency and playing constantly is the key, and he stepped away for a while. Other people obviously have elevated their games, and let's face it, when you get some younger players, Tiger can't hit the ball 330 anymore.
Right.
You know, he's a 300 hitter. You know, these young guys are hitting it out there 330, and they've got some confidence. You know.
Well, and yeah, you're exactly right. They do, and they seem to have played so much golf in their younger years that when they get to this stage, it's really not. I mean, I heard Rory McIlroy talk last night, and he wasn't fazed by any bit of it. You know,
it was.
He was calm. He was collected. He knew what he had to do to win this tournament. And at 21 years of age and going to win the Masters, boy, it's golf has a lot of things great looking forward for them with these young golfers.
And it's amazing how it's broadening outside the United States as well. I mean, for so many years it's been Woods and Mickelson, and it's really blossoming into Europe real heavy. And a lot of good players in golf right now. It's going to be a fun year, to be honest. We'll see what happens with Tiger. I think he's still a ways away. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't see that intimidation factor being there anymore because he's not going out there lining up on that first hole and just absolutely crushing the ball and saying top that
down
because
the middle.
They can't.
Yeah. Well, and that the thing about Tiger is he can turn it on and he can shoot 8 under or something crazy in one day, and throw. And this tournament could be done for. I mean, he could go out and do that. But
let's face it, it's great for golf if he is better. He is the face of golf, and to be honest, for a couple of years he was the face of sports.
For a long time he has been, and he can continue that with one big major championship, and that could be over this weekend. Still don't have a winner for that trivia question. Who is the only player ever to hit a leadoff home run in his team's first 2 games of the season? I'm going to give you a hint. It happened this year, and it's in the American League. That player plays in the American League, and it happened this year. Give us a call at 737-3791. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You're on the Cheap Seats with Josh and the Furniture Guy. You'll be back on 96.3 and WLCNonline.com. Back here on the 96.3 and WLCNonline.com. You're in the Cheap Seats with Josh Komnick and the Furniture Guy, Jake Johnston, out here at Beck's Travel Plaza, located across from the beautiful Hampton Inn. Come out and join us here. You've got 6 more minutes to get free any size fountain drink. So 6 minutes till the fountain drink special is up, but of course they're going to have those beverages of your choice going on all weekend, of course, out here at Beck's Travel Plaza. And Jake, we've covered some baseball. Let's get into doubles. And doubles have clinched the top seed in the East and home field advantage. Anything going through the East has to go through Chicago, exactly what you want. And now we, I guess, getting ready for playoff basketball.
Yeah. Good matchups for the Bulls. That's going to make it so they will not be playing Miami or Boston in the first couple rounds. And then when they do, or if they do and when they do, they'll have them at home, which is, that's a nice way to start it. They've had a really good run here as of late. Man, are they playing some good ball.
Well, and I don't know that, and yes, home field advantage is a huge advantage, I think, in anything. You're talking about regional basketball at Lincoln or whoever. If you're going to host something, it's always a huge advantage. But the Bulls have been excellent on the road this year, so you can't say that we can't go in on the road during the playoffs and win a couple games on the road. I mean, these guys are, even though they're not a veteran team, and I heard Michael Wilbon the other day on PTI, I think he said he's worried about the Bulls because they've never suffered that playoff loss. Some of these guys have not had that playoff loss that he thinks you need to say, hey, we didn't do a very good job this year.
Well, I don't know. I mean, last couple of years against Boston, they pushed the limits with them.
I think they've had painful losses in the playoffs.
I think they have, and I think it's a totally different team now. Derrick Rose leading the team, obviously, but with Carlos Boozer's confidence, you got Kyle Korver as well. They're battle tested. They've been through the playoffs a little bit. They know what it's about. So they're key guys now. I think they do have a good clue what it's about. And the thing that people don't really talk that much about is their coach is the best coach in basketball this year.
Sure. Yeah.
At this point right now, he has pulled all the right strings at all the right times to make it so not only are they in contention like they have been the last couple of years, but they're, like you said, tops in the East and closing on the tops in the West.
Right, and that's the thing for the Bulls. You've got a young team that is being led by a first-year, basically, head coach, and coming in and doing all these things. You talk about Derrick Rose, Carlos Boozer. I didn't think would be this good for the Bulls. He's excellent. Joakim Noah. This team is really talented, although I worry about the Magic for some reason. That the Magic are maybe the most talented team in the NBA.
Yeah.
And when you can put Dwight Howard on there, because now Derrick Rose will go at anybody, but will he go at and be successful 3 out of 4 times or whatever you want to do when you're going to the hole and shooting layups? Can he do that against Dwight Howard? And especially if the Bulls got to double down on Dwight Howard, which they will. They have nobody that can match up against Dwight Howard who does. But Orlando can paint the perimeter with shooters, and although they haven't played well this year,
I was going to say they haven't gelled since the big trade.
They haven't, but they can at any time once they get that clicking. I mean, you've got Gilbert Arenas, you've got so many players on this team for
Jason Richardson,
they're loaded, and why they're not any good, I don't know, but. That's a team that worries me, and I know we're going to get them at home in Chicago, and that place will be absolutely rocking as it was the other night against Boston. But, man, that team scares me going against the Bulls.
Yeah, and for good reason, like you said, with Dwight Howard. Any team with a Dwight Howard, obviously. But I think there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you don't see, and you don't hear much about. Some things are obviously not clicking right there with Orlando. That should be. They've got such a talented team, but it may be one of those things, kind of like Houston a few years ago. They just couldn't gel and get it going in NBA, not only NBA basketball, but NBA playoff basketball. That is the key. I mean, you have to have a team that is going to be gelled together and it can take on the world, basically, and know that they're going to come out on top. And right now, I think the Bulls may have that.
Okay, Jake, barring that I know you're a Bulls fan, but throw that out the window and you're just an NBA. Doesn't matter who team you just like to watch them. Who's going to win it? Can the Bulls win it, or who will win it?
The Bulls can compete. To be honest, I can see the Bulls winning the East. I think they're just now actually starting to gel. So I think the Bulls can win the East and run away with it, to be honest. But the West is a different story with San Antonio, who, to be honest, has some young guys that are just basically, honestly, they're waiting for the playoffs.
Right.
They're tired of the regular season, as well as the LA Lakers and Oklahoma City.
Sure.
Oklahoma City is a very dangerous team out of the West.
Well, I think, like yourself, I think the Bulls can win it. If they will, I don't know. I don't like the size that the Lakers prevent or can put out at you, and especially, and then you've got Kobe Bryant, you've got experience, you've got world titles there.
Yep.
You've got everything that goes into what you want to be a world champion
It's
with the Lakers.
With San Antonio,
exactly. And I just don't think San Antonio's got the firepower to beat. Although they play excellent, they're the most consistent team by far throughout the regular season because they basically because of their coach. But they're banged up. They've got some injuries, and I just like the Lakers just because of their makeup, their team. They've got some experience. They've got some young guys that come off the bench that are pretty decent, and I like Kobe. He's one of the best. He's one of the best you've seen. One of the few that's been able to come out of high school and really make a name for himself. And it'll be tough to go through L.A. if they can, or even if it's in Chicago, it'll be tough for the Bulls or whoever to beat the Lakers.
Going pro, not to sidebar it, but
I know
Jeremy Richmond.
Yeah,
who would have thought? I mean, him and Weber, I guess they at the end of the year weren't seeing eye to eye, but
that's a point where I've heard some people talking that he hasn't attended class for quite a while.
Yeah,
and if you're going to be ineligible for the following, at least the first semester, what are you going to do?
Well,
you're going to sit out.
If the NBA would have changed the rules to where where you could go to the NBA straight out of high school, he would not be. He would never been to Illinois.
Right. Well, and I'll leave it at this, and this will be the last thing we comment on that because our 10 o'clock hour is pretty much up. But the NBA and college basketball need to go to the college rule for Major League rule. If you go to a Division I school out of high school, like just say for the instance the University of Illinois, you cannot go to the major leagues until after your junior year. It needs to be done that way. Flat out, put it in writing. That's the best way to do it. These guys have to attend class. They have to actually go to school, make the grade, compete as any other college person does as far as doing athletics and schoolwork too. This 1 year, like we talked about, you can be eligible for the first semester and the second semester. If you know you're going out to the NBA the next for the next year, you don't have to attend one class, because the way college works is the way you're eligible is based on the previous semester.
Correct.
And this semester, like for instance, Jeremy Richmond, if he knew he was going to the NBA, he wouldn't have had to attend one class this semester that we're in right now. So it's flawed.
He hasn't.
Yeah, and it seems like he hasn't. So he's going to the NBA. He averaged 6 points. Started, I think, one game maybe for the Illini this year. I don't know how you score 6 points a game in college basketball and think you're ready for the NBA, but that's a whole different topic, and a topic that we're going to have to discuss later, Jake, because our time is up here out at Beck's Travel Plaza. We are going to have to call it a day here, and hopefully you can make it out 11 a.m. We want to thank Coach Pat Hake. He was out here. He's got an 11 o'clock start for a doubleheader out at Mike Curry Field with the K-Hawks from Collinsville. I want to thank my co-host here, the furniture guy, Jake. I want to thank Pat Hake, Coach Pat Hake, for coming in especially on a game day. And I want to thank everybody with the cheap seats, all of our sponsors to make this show possible. That's going to wrap it up here at Beck's Travel Plaza. Come out here and show us some support. We want to thank Beck's for having us out here. And for the next time, Josh Komnick, the furniture guy, we'll see you back on 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.